inside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. That short third man is the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and joining me this evening, I've got digital guru for Somerset CCC, Ben Warren, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. And, well, Somerset have played once since we last recorded, a draw up at Edgbaston affected by the weather. Gibbo, you were up there for all 4 days. If we hadn't had that weather, do you think we'd have gone on and won?
I think quite possibly, particularly on the last day. It was the rain that came just after lunch on Sunday, after we'd made a really good start in the first couple of overs before lunch, and Somerset were clearly going for it. There was no doubt about it. Steve Kirby told me the night before, whatever the target is, we're going to go for it. There was real.
They have to, because they've got to catch Surrey up.
They have, but they showed real intent, I thought. But losing those overs then, really put the mockers on it, because we knew that there was going to be bad light towards the end of the day, as there'd been bad light on the Thursday night and Friday night. But it was a very similar game to the one at Taunton. We conceded quite a substantial first innings lead, came back well with the ball. Jack Leach absolutely outstanding. I thought he bowled as well as he has done for a long time for Somerset, picking up 5 wickets on a pretty unresponsive surface. And we had every chance, I think. I mean, we're good at chasing down totals in the fourth innings, and it was just a shame. But they kept the intent going right to the end, to the extent that Craig Overton, we were hanging around for the best part of half an hour after the umpires had said that play had to be suspended because of bad light, because Craig Overton was clinging to every last sliver of hope that Somerset could go in and bat again and smash the ball all around the ground. And I thought the attitude was really positive and really refreshing as well.
Yeah, Ben, we are going to have to play some very brave and positive cricket now, because draws are going to be no good to us if we're going to reel this 35-point, I think it is, deficit hold a 35-point lead at the top of Division 1 of the County Championship over us at the moment. But I just want to get your thoughts on Jack Leach. Blowing that game wide open on Sunday morning, he finished with 5 for 77, but he actually took 5 for 18 at the end of his spell. Really blew the game wide open and has kind of carried on his excellent form that he's had in the Metro Bank One Day Cup.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, really good. I don't think he was quite at his best in the first innings, but from what I saw, there was quite a short boundary, wasn't there, Anthony, to one?
Yeah, towards the Hollies.
Yeah, one side, yeah.
One side. So it makes it difficult, doesn't it, as a spin bowler? I think Bird just got after him a little bit in the first innings, but there's not a lot on offer. And like Anthony said, there wasn't a huge amount from what I was watching on the stream on offer for him even the second innings, but there was just enough to keep him interested. And he did a great job of containing. I thought Warwickshire played it very strange again. I know that they were in a little bit of an odd position where they had a lead, but they were obviously didn't want history repeating itself from Taunton. They were a bit aware of the weather. Obviously, on Saturday, there was significant chunks of the game. But I thought that the way they went about it was either here nor there, really. There was no real strategy from what I was seeing. There might have been one, but it just didn't appear that. And Jack Leach really sort of played on that. It was clear that he was doing a little bit of a containing job. But certainly on that fourth morning, a couple of batters ran past him, and as soon as he got to the tail enders, you just fancied him. You fancied him because they weren't that aggressive against him. I mean, Ray came in and played a pretty horrible shot, and you just thought, actually, he could well end up with a fiver here, and he used all his experience on that morning, and Yeah, really well bowled from Jack, but I think Warwickshire. I think if the situation was reversed, we'd be having a bit of a pop at Somerset for how they went about that.
They're in a funny position though, because they haven't won a game all year. They've lost 3 and drawn 7 after Sunday, and they're in the middle of a bit of a logjam for that second relegation spot. Worcester on 114, Warwickshire 109, Notts 104, and Lancashire 103. So you've got 11 points separating the sides who you think are going to be fighting it out for that second relegation spot. I don't think Durham are going to get sucked into. I think they're too good. They're on 126. So they're kind of looking for their first win, but realistically, the way the pitch was playing, there was no way they were seriously going to bowl Somerset out on that last day. And yeah, I think they just didn't know whether to stick or twist. The way I saw it.
I think they were. I agree with what Ben said. They didn't have any real strategy. They were encouraged by the fact that both Nottinghamshire and Lancashire were getting heavily beaten, and I think that put them in two minds. It'd be nice to win, but a draw won't be too bad with 13 points. This sort of mindset, because they never played with any real intent on the Saturday afternoon. They didn't try and put the scoring rate up, and on the Sunday morning. We were all a bit baffled. We were all wondering when are they going to declare? How much of a target are they going to set Somerset? In the end, they didn't declare at all. And can
you blame them after Taunton a few weeks back?
Well, but if you haven't won a match all season, you'd have thought they'd be a little bit more positive.
I suppose this goes back to the 8 points for the draw, 16 points for the win.
It does.
It's too many points for the draw. That you're not going to risk going for the win.
I think the pitch was very kind of similar in its way to the pitches at Taunton, in that they don't seem to sort of generate much deterioration over the 4 days. The thing is, the pitches, there's a lot of cricket being played at Edgbaston, so the pitches tend to be quite slow at this time of year. So I get the need that they wouldn't have wanted to set Somerset something that they would effectively give up all the advantage that they gained throughout by getting a first innings lead. But I agree with Anthony, actually, that it was actually the first knockings of that third innings. Think of like Australia when they get a first innings lead, and they, back when they're in their pomp, or even now, they'll come out and they'll make the opposition feel like they need to grovel, like really kind of work hard to get back in the game. And it never really felt that Somerset, yes, they bowled well in the third innings, but never really felt like they needed to work hammer, tooth and nail to get back into the game. They were almost sort of let back in it, and then the time came to play. But
they weren't scoring quick. We were picking up wickets, but they weren't scoring quickly enough to take the game away, were they? They were. Josh went at 2.3 and over. Craig at 2.7. You look at the time when the wickets fall. Hamza Sheikh was out third on 133. They're in the 47th over. It's 2.5 and over. It's not quick enough to take the game away from Somerset, and they've really made rods for their own backs there.
Well, in a way, they deserve to lose Warwickshire. And if it hadn't been for that shower after lunch, they might very well have lost, and it would have been their own bloody fault for not playing with any real intent.
Well, James Rue was looking like he could chase down anything. I think he's upset that his younger brother seems to be getting most of the headlines, and he just needs to remind us all that I'm the daddy here, boys. Well, not the daddy. Chris is the daddy, but I'm the older brother here, boys. Right, let's rewind back to the first day then. Everybody was very excited when Lewis Goldsworthy was named in the side, and then he wasn't. Ben's got a big smile on his face. Is that a typo or miscommunication or late change there? What happened there?
Well, it wasn't a typo. So I wasn't actually on duty. It was Will, my colleague, doing.
Oh, blame
Spencer's fault, was it?
But no, there was a miscommunication between the commercial team and the playing staff. I'll leave it on the coaching staff. I'll leave it at that without naming names.
Fair enough. Was it kind of sort of intercepted, and the Lewis Goldsworthy fan club of Somerset fans on Twitter kind of just put it in, hoping that it would force the issue? maybe not. The other, I suppose, interesting thing about the toss was Craig Overton was certainly surprised me when he came when he walked out to toss. I saw that on the live stream, and he in place of Lewis Gregory, who's got a groin niggle. Now he is in the squad tomorrow. Ben, have you got any inside information on that, or is he looking good?
The only information I got is from Anthony's chat with Jason after day one. You had a chat with him, didn't you, Anthony, about Lewis?
I did.
So I think my hunch is that he'll be wheeled out for the Blast quarter-final next week. Unlikely to be risked tomorrow would be my hunch, but I don't know. I've not been around the lads too much, so that's just purely my speculation, not anything that I've seen or understood.
Okay. Well, Archie Vaughan was named as captain in the squad earlier. That was tweeted out today. So, and then and then very quickly amended. So I hope that wasn't a miscommunication. That one genuinely was probably a typo. Unless we are planning on doing a Graham Smith with him and chucking him in early. But yeah, that would be very, very unlikely indeed. Yeah, and we won the toss, Skipper, well, Craig Overton did, in sort of very nice bowling conditions, and then we had a little shower, and then a few hours later the heavens parted, and we had to bowl in conditions that, had we tossed in and won the toss, we probably wouldn't have bowled in.
No, it surprised me, I have to say. I mean, first thing, it looked like a bowling day, but the weather forecast said quite clearly that the weather was going to improve. And you'd have thought that the thinking might have been, well, it's going to be tough for the first hour, but if we can get through that, then we can cash in and set a big first innings target. On the other hand, the prospect of facing Chris Rushworth and Oliver Hannon-Dalby on a bowling morning with the fragility of our top order may also have been a factor. I'm not accusing them of being negative or over defensive, but I thought it was probably a 50-50 call as to whether to bat or bowl, and it didn't work out very well, but it might have worked out worse if we'd batted first. You never know.
And I suppose having chased that big target, maybe looking at the pitch, thinking, well, yeah, it's probably not going to change much over the 4 days. If anything, probably going to get slower and easier to bat on. Yeah, sides don't mind chasing. We're in a new era. They don't mind chasing in that fourth innings now. It hasn't got the what's the word I'm looking for? The fear factor that it used to have of you'd see, wouldn't you, on the stats on test matches they put up, like England's record ever chases, like only 270 in the fourth innings and things like this. And once Bazball came along and a few other things, and they showed actually it could be done. One day cricket is another big factor in that. So I just don't fear chasing now. They'll probably they'd probably rather chase 350 on the last day than bat out for a draw, you'd think.
Yeah, and I think that obviously with the short boundary as well, that would have definitely come into the thinking. I don't think once the ball got old that there was really anything for the bowlers. There was just a little bit for the Rushworth and Hannon-Dalby exploited. But I guess it comes back to, again, what we were talking about in the mock-up of whether to declare or not. By Warwick should not either being bowled out or declaring, leaving Somerset less than 80 overs. It meant that Warwickshire only had one ball. Which I think as soon as that was on the wall, they would have needed 2 bites at a new ball, I think, to have it, if they think they had any chance of bowling Somerset out. So I think the fact that when Somerset were chasing sort of 70 something overs in the end, when it initially they got bowled out, that would have been music to the ears, because it meant that as soon as that one ball got old, they were not going to have to face Hannon-Dalby and Rushworth with a new ball towards the end of the day. So yeah, definitely with a short boundary would have played a factor in that call to bowl first, I think.
Definitely. And Josh Davey and Craig Overton renewing their glory days opening partnership with 4 wickets apiece. Does slip under the radar a little bit, does JD, but does pop up every now and again, and just remind you what a good bowler he is, and write him off at your peril, and you know what a good foil he is for Craig Overton at the other end. Right, shall we talk about Somerset's efforts in the first innings? Shall we talk about what Tom Campbell was playing at? Because he clearly looked like he was out of any sort of rhythm, the way he just sort of ran down the wicket first ball, got beaten on the outside edge, and then ran down the wicket on the second ball and got, well, Oliver had. I said that Oliver had and Dobby found his edge. I think he didn't have to look very hard for it. I mean, long question short, is Tom Campbell the long-term solution to our opening batsman problem, which we've had since Marcus Trescothick and Errol Sapaya broke their partnership a few years ago, or is he worth persevering with? Discuss. Silence is golden. I mean, my take on it is,
the thing is, he's just as likely to do it at number 5 as he is at number 1.
He's not facing a new ball at number 5, though, is he? And it's.
I mean, all I would say is that Lewis Goldsworthy deserves a chance.
Yeah.
You know, and frankly, one of Andrew Umeed or Tom Kohler-Cadmore ought to be making way for Lewis Goldsworthy, unless you bring Lewis Goldsworthy in at the expense of a bowler, which I can't see would make very much sense. You know, how weak our attack is without Lewis Gregory. In any case, but you know, Lewis Goldsworthy has done more than enough in the One Day Cup, and you know, before that, when his time at Leicestershire, he's a much improved batsman, much improved cricketer, and he deserves his chance. And you know, TKC and Andy Umeed have had loads and loads of opportunities, and they haven't delivered. And you know, I think one of them needs to be stood aside to make way for Lewis.
I think
well, I would say that they've only had 2. They've only had 3 games. Because we had Renshaw and oh god, he was opening the batting.
Yeah, but they haven't got any runs anywhere in the order.
I know. Well, TKC. I mean, TKC. Another thing is TKC.
TKC is averaging 25.4. He scored 228 runs in 5 innings, an average of 25.4. And Andy Umeed he's averaging 31 in 13 innings, 373. I mean, you know, those are not compelling figures. If you look at the Durham batting averages, you know, by comparison, you know, it's really not good enough. You've got McKinney 121, Bedingham 71, Robinson 66, Lees 45, Potts 41. Even Ben Rain is averaging 32.
Yes, Gibbo, we know you've done your prep for tomorrow. You don't have
well,
to.
I know, but
Emerson
it struck me looking down the averages. You know, we've got Tom Abel, who's having a good season starting there. We've got Tom Lamberby, who's in the form of his life, and we got James Rue, who blows a bit hot and cold. But and Tom Banton, who's having his best season with the red ball. But Umeed and TKC are just not delivering at the moment. And you know, I love Andy Umeed. He's a lovely bloke. He's potentially a very good cricketer, but he's not scoring runs. Whether he's at the top of the order or even when he was batting number 4, he wasn't scoring runs.
I think the Umeed situation is I think they're 2 slightly different situations. I think the Umeed situation is a one around tempo almost, because like it's slightly strange how someone who, when he bats one in the 50 over tournament, albeit against not such high quality opening bowlers and things, you know, looks like he is the complete cricketer. He looks so confident in his game. He goes out and plays really lovely tempoed innings. In the Championship, he's not quite found that tempo, I don't think. And so when he was batting down the order, he was keen on, you know, announcing himself, hitting boundaries, and he's sort of done the same thing when he's moved up to open, in terms of he wants to express himself, show everyone what new cricketer he is. And I think he probably just, you know, for me, it's probably just, there is definitely the ability there for him to be an opener. I feel like out of all the openers we've got, he has the ability. If he can bat how he bats in 50 over cricket, if he can move that over to the Championship, he's not far away from being a very, very good opener for Somerset for the next few years. But he's got to just get that tempo.
He's not very good at playing the moving ball, though. That's the trouble. I mean, it's what Mark Davis always says about his 2 front foot, and he goes too hard at the ball on the front foot. And if it's moving around with the red ball at the start of the innings, you're not going to score many runs. Whereas against the white ball, if he can get through the first couple of overs, then it stops moving around, and then he's in his element. But I honestly don't see him as an opening batsman against the red ball. He doesn't play the ball late enough.
I mean, that's something he can work on. I mean, I've not spoken to Tom Lambie about this, but I'm convinced that he was working last winter to play the ball later. I'm convinced, having watched him this year to last year, he's changed that, and there's no reason that Andy Umi can as well. No one is questioning any of these guys' talent. It's just, I'll just talk about, flick back to Tom Kohler Cadmore. I think he's not really an opening batsman, but he could be an opening batsman in the sense that if you look at, we've got Bazball now with 2 very attacking openers in Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett, who have both got pretty decent records over the last few years. 2019 Ashes, we tried Jason Roy, who would come from playing one-day cricket, and he was complete disaster because I don't think he knew how to open the batting in red ball cricket in terms of the approach. Just go back to TKC in that first innings, okay? Hannon Dolby isn't the quickest, and he's moving it around. So TKC is coming down the wicket to try and negate the swing and the seam movement. Whereas if an experienced opening batter who knew his game would say, actually, instead of walking down the wicket, that's going to make me more vulnerable to the moving ball because my head's moving around. I need to be batting a foot and a half outside my crease to negate the moving ball and the swinging ball. So again, that's maybe something that TKC could pick up on and still bat in that aggressive manner, but be more selective and bat, dare I say it, more like an opener and know how to negate the moving ball in the old-fashioned way of batting outside your crease rather than being on the walk and making yourself vulnerable. So, I mean, again, but the problem with TKC is that you could be missing him for the IPL next year for the first 7 or 8 games like he was this year.
I'd be surprised if he gets a gig in the IPL.
Yeah, but there's a risk. Is it, even if it's a 10-15% risk, it's still a risk. I mean, he might get picked up as a bit of a value buy by one of the teams. You never know.
I think one of the things with TKC, I know this is a really simplistic thing to say, but he's just had a nick, really. He's just not had a great year. I mean, it started in India actually. Had a really good 2023. Just has never really got going. And he's a high risk cricketer. He's a dynamic cricketer. He's not going to ever be the most consistent player that exists. But it's quite hard when you're out of nick to be opening the batting against. All right, it's not moving as much as it has done in previous seasons potentially, but it's hard work, and I think that it's a difficult ask for him to come and do that when the odds aren't maybe in anyone's favour opening the batting. But I think that he's got the potential to do a lot of good things in a Somerset shirt, and he's proved that he can do it. But in the Championship, his record isn't as good as you'd like it to be.
A pretty decent season last year, batting sort of 4 or 5.
And I remember the player that came and scored 100 for Yorkshire at Taunton the year before, and he looked a fabulous red ball player. Really kind of assured of his game and and his risk taking, and maybe his white ball, his sort of stock in white ball cricket has risen through a lot of franchise stuff. Whether that's he's trying to play even more aggressive, it feels like he's trying to play even more aggressive in red ball cricket than he was. The player I saw for Yorkshire score that 100 a couple of years ago. He looks like he's trying to score at a strike rate of 100 plus. whatever the circumstance, and that is going to bring high risk, high reward cricket. He might well go out there tomorrow and belt 100, and it might be the best innings we've seen all season. But I just think that he's playing very high risk cricket, and it's when you're not in nick, it's very difficult to execute.
I bet you they'll stick with Embiid and TKC though.
Well, we haven't even talked about George Thomas yet, who belted 182 for St Andrews on Saturday.
That's club cricket, and again, he's great against the white ball. It's a very different matter playing against Bryden Cass with a red ball moving around for first up.
I'll just tell Bryden Cass at Betfred's Open over the road, and he'll pop down there. Yeah, but just with George, he does look a better organised player than he did last year. But he's absolutely not even in the squad, so let's forget about George Thomas. I mean, I'm inclined, bearing in mind the position in the table, I'm kind of inclined to keep with Kohler Cadmore now.
I think that's what the thinking will be,
because we need.
If they come off, we'll get a jet propelled start, and that's exactly what you need if you're going to win cricket matches. So. But I just think there ought to be a place for Lewis Goldsworthy because he's playing so well. I don't know.
I agree.
I'm glad it's not my problem, and I can just sit on the sidelines and criticise.
Yeah, I mean, had we been in a sort of a mid-table position with no realistic chance of the title, I'd have Lewis Goldsworthy in there. But I mean, you can make a case either way for 3 or 4 players to go up and open the bat. I mean, Archie Vaughan is in the squad now. I don't think he's really going to seriously merit selection, but I think he's there because they see a lot of potential in him, and it's great to have him around that environment. He was up at Edgbaston last week doing 12th as duty, so he's getting to visit all these grounds again that he was went around with his dad all those years ago. What else have we got to say? Casey Aldridge dug us out there proverbial with the bat again, showing us what a fine cricketer he can be. I did notice something with the ball. I don't know if this was because one of the feeds I was watching, he was bowling with a white ball against Leicester, and the other one was with a red ball against Warwickshire. And there might be some trick of the camera or something. But I felt he didn't have the greatest of games with the ball against Warwickshire. I sometimes feel when he's not bowling well, he kind of holds the ball a little bit too deep in his hand. It almost looks like he's kind of, you can't see what I'm doing, listeners, but I'm kind of making like a big, almost over-exaggerated claw set in my hand. And you will know that the ideal grip for the pace bowler is, that sort of the 2 fingers up on the seam. But it's not quite that exaggerated, but I don't know. I don't know if that's just me and the feeds that I'm watching, but it does kind of seem to me that he maybe holding on the ball a little bit too tight and trying a little bit too hard sometimes, but when he's in his rhythm, he's just holding it a little bit lighter and it's just coming out of the hand really nicely, and he's just getting the fingers down the back of the seam. I don't know. That could just be me and what I'm looking for. Alex Wharf's back on the list with a bang. What an absolute shocker Tom Abel got.
Oh, it's terrible, wasn't it?
Well, I was listening to you and who was your co-commentator? I can't remember who it was, but you were sort of like, I think he's out. He must be LBW. No, he's caught behind off the glove. Is he? No, is it LBW? Is it old? Oh, honest to God, it was an absolute.
Well, I think the wicketkeeper was appealing for a caught behind initially. I thought before we got the close up, I thought he'd been given out caught behind. But so did Brian Holford, who was the Warwickshire commentator. But no, he was given out LBW, not playing a shot. You see, so you can be out not playing. Even though the ball hits him outside the off stump. The fact that the ball flicked the top of his pad and would have missed.
Well, if it flicks and goes through to the keeper, and the keeper takes it sort of up by his chest, it's a general.
I know, and then goes off, chucking the ball up in the air for a catch behind. Oh, Jesus Christ!
So
It's an absolute shock.
So Jack Leach has Alistair Cook, plum LBW at Taunton. That's not out. And then Tom Abel with a merest flick of the thigh pad, about 3 foot up in the air, is out. Welcome back to the list, Alex. It's been a while, but boy, it's good to have you back.
I know this is fairly cricket 101, but you do tend to still see batters that shoulder arms and get hit on the pads. The percentage of LBW must go up like a lot, because I'm pretty sure if he played a shot at that, all right, it would have been outside the line, but even the height, I'm pretty sure he would have been given not out. It's purely the fact that he's made a misjudgment and the bowler's got excited by that. And I still think...
he hasn't made a misjudgment, because that was never in the stumps in a million years.
Well, it did hit his pad.
But it wasn't hitting the stumps.
Well, I'm not sure he meant it to hit his pad.
No, but I mean, he's probably left it on length more than anything, I think. And anyway, to his credit, Tom is impeccably behaved whilst wearing the dragon as any man to have ever turned out for Somerset, and took his fate with good grace and walked off. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as a bat smasher, does Tom?
I think Michael Burgess got a bad one as well for Warwickshire when he was given out caught behind in the first innings. I don't think he hit that, but that was O'Shaughnessy. So these things even themselves up.
They do indeed. What else? Anything else to talk about Warwickshire then?
The Lancashire, obviously, in the other game were about, they never even got a sniff, did they? Really, in the game, even with most of the day washed out, that was a serious performance by Surrey. To roll them twice they just seem to be able at the Oval to produce these pitches that they can score 400 on extremely quickly. and just about give themselves enough time to take 20 wickets on it.
Are they switching them overnight? We know, like they bat for 2 days.
I think it needs
declare, and then the groundsman kind of comes in with some special quick going grass overnight or something.
I watched a little bit of the Surrey live stream on the town. When Surrey are batting, you go, that looks a smashing deck. Rory Burns and just easing the ball to the back on that quick outfield at the Oval to the boundary, and then whenever they get the ball down, Worrell, who I think he must be up there for one of the best bowlers in the country at the moment, is and he will. I know we're not talking about Surrey, but he will be a heck of a handful in a week's time or so. There seems to be enough in that pitch to cause problems. So shame that Surrey won. It's not the result that obviously Somerset fans would want, but still a mathematical chance, isn't there?
Yeah, they probably won't be after Surrey have rolled Nottinghamshire over there. Not in a terrible state like Lancashire.
Well, let's hope the pitch is deader than the one that we played them on up at Trent Bridge, and they managed to drag it out for a draw.
I don't know what's going on at Notts. I don't know what's going on at Lancashire either. I mean, that boring. Well, I do know a bit about what's going on at Kent. They're that's a shambles as well. But not Notts and Lancashire. They're just underperforming to such an extent. It's hard to believe.
And if you believe social media, Somerset would be the club in crisis with that needs complete root and branch overhaul. I know, if you believe social media.
Well, yeah, I know, but there's so much rubbish talked on social media about, we're in the quarterfinal of the Blast, we're in the final of the One Day Cup, we're second in the county championship. What more do you want?
And we won the second 11 championship as well. We've just got,
especially given the injuries that we've had, and Pretoria's having going off with South Africa and all the rest of it. I think it's been credit where credit is due.
The women's team coming next year as well.
Good season.
Yeah. Yeah, be careful what you wish for, Somerset fans. What else we got? What do you think is going to happen in this Essex Hampshire tit-for-tat declaring so you can't get bowling bonus points then? Is that going to go anywhere? Because there is a rule that you are not allowed to maliciously declare just to deny your opposition bowling points. And I think Essex declaring at 109.4 overs, 8 wickets down, I think they could have a case to answer, you know. Hampshire declared 105.5 overs, again 8 wickets down. I mean, if you're declaring mid-over, you still use up that over in terms of the overs available in the game. And you give yourself the opportunity to score less runs. I mean, they could have potentially scored another 6 runs off that one ball, but they have denied Essex the opportunity to take a point, as then Essex did the same to Hampshire. And there is a rule about that, so I hope they both fall foul of it.
I believe that the umpires are meant to step in and prevent the declaration from happening at the time, though. I remember a situation, I don't know if you remember it, Anthony, probably 7 or 8 years ago, with Somerset were playing Sussex at Hove, and Marcus got a lot of runs, Trigo got a lot of runs, and Somerset wanted to declare, but the umpires didn't let them.
They were told not, they couldn't. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And the umpires actually physically said that you cannot declare until the 110 overs, because they felt that I think Somerset were in a relegation.
Denying Sussex the opportunity of bonus points. Yeah.
It was a long time ago, maybe sort of 2015, 2016, around that sort of time.
2015, I think.
Yeah. And Somerset weren't best pleased with it, but that I think it was the umpires at the time that were the ones that stepped in. I'm not sure retrospectively. I don't know, but I'm not sure retrospectively there'll be much punishment.
It's a shame Dan's not tonight, because he would know his playing conditions off by heart. I did look it up a couple of years ago, because Tom Abel declared up at Gloucester. I think it was a rain-affected game. I think he got 150, and we ended up drawing. Wasn't the one, I think it might have been 2022, and we declared at a funny sort of time, that sort of 105, 106 overtime. But there, it was a meritorious case to be made for declaring at that time. So I don't think we would have got in trouble. But this absolutely looks like an open and shut case of a malicious declaration. But anywho's, moving on then with news. Second 11 drew with the Gloucesters. Absolute freak of nature that is Thomas Rue, as 106 not out and 41 not out. Just a reminder he is only 16. Absolutely mad. Can somebody calculate how many runs the Rue brothers have scored combined in August? It feels like, I mean,
was Will Speed playing in that game?
He was.
Did he get any runs?
He got 50 in the first innings.
Yes, 70 odd, I think, in the first inning. I don't think he got many in the second.
Does that indicate that he's going to do a Banton and try and learn to play bat against the red ball?
I think it was more just a case of
just wants match practice.
Yeah, he's. I think he's winning his race to be fit for next, but wanted some cricket, and there is no other cricket available to him to play. So my sources say that it was more a case of getting some match practice in, rather than a dynamic shift at this stage.
Shame. Still, you never know.
Well, we can add Will Smeed to the Lewis Goldsworthy, Andy Umeed, George Thomas, Tom Kohler Cadmore quintet of who's going to open the bat. We'll be podcasting for about 5 hours a week, Gibbo. So, I'm quite glad that Will Smeed is sticking with the white ball. But I was going to say, Gloucester, drawing with the Gloucesters in the seconds. Tom Rue, how many runs have the Rue brothers made combined in August? Because James has been scoring runs for fun in the One Day Cup. Thomas has been scoring these runs for the Southwest in the Super Fours, and obviously for the twos today. I reckon they've got 1,000 runs between them in August. Probably more. Absolutely crazy, but can't wait to see the lad. That's assuming he decides to be a professional cricketer, of course. He could go off for a career in the city. Who knows? Anything else then? Anything else? Oh, Loan Watch. I felt like I needed a Sky Sports kind of Soccer Saturday set up to keep an eye on all the loanees everywhere. Ned Leonard is off at Glamorgan, Alfie Ogborn down at Kent, and Ben Green is up at Leicester temporarily, we hope. I can't remember any of them got on now. I think Alfie got 2 for 90 odd, didn't he?
Yeah, Alfie took a couple of wickets. I saw it looked like he was swinging the new ball around a little bit for them. I can't say I followed it massively, but I saw one of his wickets, LBW. Looked a good ball. So, yeah, great experience for Alfie, that's for sure.
In a pretty crap team, that's the only thing.
Well, yeah. But playing is better than not playing. Riley Meredith is going to miss the quarterfinal. He is selected for the Australian team playing against Scotland, which, vitally important games for the Australians. Their entire calendar and ICC cycle is geared towards beating Scotland, so it's absolutely vital that Meredith plays in those. But he will miss the quarterfinal. Will Sonny Baker play? Because Sonny Baker didn't play, has played in the second 11 championship games. Then obviously the news came that he was going to Hampshire, and then didn't play in this one against Gloucester. So, Sonny was the replacement for Riley Meredith when he was rested down at Canterbury earlier on in the year. Is he available for selection? Do we know?
Is he fit?
I think he might still be injured. I'm honestly no idea. I've not seen him.
I'd be very, very surprised if Sonny Baker comes into the equation.
And I would imagine as well, can you have a clause in a contract like that because we could quite easily say, all right, well, Sonny, you're going to bowl 40 overs in every championship game until, should we wish to be so malicious as to potentially send him off to Hampshire injured. I'm sure we wouldn't, but yeah. I've not had anything official saying that he has been injured. Is it just kind of?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was because they announced that he wasn't going to play any part in the 100, didn't they?
Oh, did they? Oh, I must have missed that one. Women's ODI also been announced 7th of June, playing the West Indies at Taunton in 2025. Very much looking forward to that. What else have we got? Solar panels on the top of the Andy Caddick Pavilion. Good. I did wonder every members meeting we had, Gordon Hollins would churn out the one. Our energy bill's gone up £400,000 a year. So I'll get some solar panels in then. And finally they're done, and they say SCCC on the top. So those looking very good. I think that's it. Durham tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Who are we having in the side? Who are we leaving out?
Well,
how long have we got?
What is required here is they're going to have to play fairly aggressive cricket, which is going to make things exciting, right? These are the games that we want to go and watch. I'm excited about tomorrow. I hope everyone else at home is. I think that the big things around the pitch. What sort of pitch can we prepare to ensure that we get a result? That is the big thing. Can it spin? Because if you look down the two teams, that could be our, not to underestimate Callum Parkinson and potentially Nathan Salter, but that could be our point of difference in how we can go about winning this game, in my opinion. So I think that they'll be doing everything they possibly can to make it spin.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually brings Lewis Goldsworthy into the equation as well as a spinner, as well as his batting. So, and it actually brings Archie Vaughan into the equation a lot more. If you think that Salter, Parkinson, Leach and Goldsworthy all turn the ball away from the right-hander, Archie Vaughan could potentially, in some worlds, might end up. It could be playing as the only off spinner in the game if they feel that the pitch is going to really do something, but I'm not sure.
Because I don't think we've got a cat and owl's chance of making a seaming wicket that will produce a result. I think that's just gone. That's just not going to happen. They whatever you do, however much grass you leave on it at Taunton, it just seems to do a bit for the first session a bit, and then it flattens out whatever colour it is. So it's back to Hyderabad or somewhere of a close approximation if we are going to have a result pitch.
We've got plenty of used pitches to choose from, haven't we?
Yeah, I think that genuinely has got. I mean, in theory, what they want to be doing here is employing a strategy across. It's important. 4 games left, and 3 of them are at Taunton. So a big part of where Somerset are going to end up finishing this year is going to be how many points can they get in these 3 home games. So they need to devise a strategy where they don't want to be taking no bonus batting points. We still need Somerset to be able to score runs. But how can these pitches be produced over the next month that results can take place on the 3rd/4th day? And that will be the key, I think, to Somerset having any chance of getting close to Surrey, or whether they can overtake them, and however unlikely it is. But the spin is the key for me.
And Nathan Souter isn't actually in the Durham squad.
Oh, perhaps I've revealed something I should have done then, because he was down.
Because he is. Oh, he's been brought in, has he?
Well, I saw his bag, so I might have revealed something that I should have done there.
Well, the official Durham squad, as announced, is Borthwick's captain, Graham Clark, Bryden Cast, Baz Deleda, George Drizel, Daniel Hogg, Michael Jones, Alex Lees, Ben McKinney, James Minto, Callum Parkinson, Ben Rain, Ollie Robinson, and Ashton Turner. But I presume that squad is not legally binding, and whoever turns up is eligible to play as long as they're signed on.
Yeah.
Although I suppose it would be very ungentlemanly conduct.
So who would you have Lewis Goldsworthy in for then, Ben? Who misses out? Josh Davey or Jake Ball?
What? I'm not sure. Well, that is the question. Is that, I guess, was Jake Ball suffering a little bit with an injury in that last game? I don't.
Well, went off, didn't he?
He limped off on the Saturday evening, and nobody was. I wasn't quite sure what was wrong with him, but he was back on Sunday morning and bowling, and seemed to be bowling okay. But he for my money, because of Casey's batting, he would be the one who would make way. And Josh Davies bowling better than he has done, I think, all season. He's back to something close to his best, so I wouldn't leave Josh Davey out. I think if anyone's going to go for the extra spinner, it would be Jake Paul.
I think that would, I think if the pitch does spin, I think actually Kola Cadmore at the top of the order does make more sense.
Yeah.
Particularly if they're anticipating not a low scoring game, but a sort of medium to lowish scoring game, then actually Kola Cadmore becomes a really dangerous player even if he can get 50 or 60 in one of the innings. So my hunch is that Goldsworthy will play tomorrow, if nothing else for his spin. But yeah, obviously it'd be great to see him get given his chance. So I say completely left field option is Archie Vaughan. I don't think he was there just for the ride at Edgbaston. I think he was being prepared for a potential integration ahead of the run-in if pitches do really spin. But I think you would be talking to the levels of Hyderabad, or if they felt that they needed 3 spinners. But he is an off spinner, and that will count for something. If you go back to those Hyderabad days, it was really the fact that Dom Bess complemented Jack Leach so well, bowling one left arm spin, one right arm off spin, that made them so successful.
We chucked Roloff in as well a few times. We played the 3 of them, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And as good as as much as a good bowler Lewis Goldsworthy is, he's not Jack Leach, and him bowling left arm spin at one end and Jack Leach bowling left arm spin from the other end isn't always the most variety that you'd want to kind of, unless it's turning square, in which all you got to do is land it and be patient. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting one, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes up on that first day. Really, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll stick with TKC and Umi to open. I think if Goldsworthy comes in, it'll be at the expense of one of the bowlers.
They could really throw the cat amongst the pigeons and open with Archie Vaughan and drop one of Colacam or Umid.
No, I don't see that. I think there's a touch of sort of Bazball thinking about Somerset's approach to the run into the county championship. You know, they're going to go hard and they're going to go right from the start.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to leave anything out there, as it were.
Might as well lose it by 50 points as lose it by 2 or whatever.
Exactly. Although there's money involved, don't forget.
There is money. Yeah, that would be my only caveat to that. You know, actually, the kind of, they won't want to admit this now, but you know, the kind of kudos of finishing in the sort of top 3, top 4. You know, they're not a million mark. If Durham were to win at Taunton, actually Somerset may well drop down quite a few places. So, you know, they are second, and they're not massively comfortable in second. And I do think that, you know, to say that where did they finish last year? 7th, 6th, 7th, something like that.
Yeah.
To progress that up to a sort of a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you know, they'll regard that as a net, and I think they are closer to solving the jigsaw than they were 12 months ago. You know, there were lots of question marks heading into this season, and I think a lot of them have been ticked off. There's still some gap, but they look a much better side than they did last year. So I think that they'll want to have that in writing on the league table at the end. I don't think they'll want to just completely throw away the work that they've done, but I think particularly in this game they got a bit of, you know, they know that they've got to take massive points, and then against Surrey they know they've got to take massive points. I think they'll get through those 2 games and assess what's going on here. Do we need, is the title mathematically over? Do we just want to consolidate and try a few youngsters or something like that? So, but yeah, tomorrow's game's a really interesting one, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope it goes till Sunday, because that's the only day I can make it for this one. Unfortunately, work, and all sorts of other things have got in the way, which is pretty regrettable. Have we got time for any listeners' questions? Let's have a look. Probably running a little bit short of time, so let's see if I can pick out my particular favourite and one that we haven't discussed. So Andy Cleve says, could Riley Meredith play? I presume, well, no, he's not in the squad, but you know, you never know. But no, unlikely. Simon Hancock. If Lewis Goldsworthy isn't selected for the next game, which one of us should drive him to Leicester? Moving on. Have we got any contract news on the horizon, Ben? Is Tom Banton due a guest slot in the commentary box over the next 4 days?
No, there's a few. It is that sort of season now, isn't it? So expect some news. Expect some news maybe tomorrow after the close of play, if you want some updates. So you got your little exclusive on the Bright Side of Life. So
there we go. Tomorrow after the close of play. This is going to be announced that somebody's leaving, is it? It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good, yeah.
Oh, right.
I mean, yeah. Not a leaving.
Okay. Can I probe further? Is it an existing renewal, or is it a new overseas superstar signing for September?
I probably shouldn't devise that, but
okay, we won't push any further. Anyway, any more? Phil, TKC opening the batting is illogical. He should be dropped in the Red Bull team. Should he be in the Red Bull team at all? His form this season with Poise should be dropped. George Thomas should be given a chance to open with Abel. Well, I think we've covered that well. I think George Thomas's time in Red Bull cricket is probably a year or 2 away, I'd say. And where else are we going? John Hayes says we need a 16-point swing and attitude. And I think that is pretty much it. Chris Payne, realistically, I'm going to pick him this year, but how long till Thomas Rue gets picked? Not very long. Shall we have a little chat about Thomas Rue just to close things off? I've only ever seen him in highlights, but obviously James is left-handed, Thomas is right-handed, but they do look like different sort of players. I mean, there's been a lot of Graham Thorpe highlights being shown around the place following his passing a few weeks ago, and the more I sort of watch Thorpe and the more I watch Rue, they are quite similar players, aren't they? James is a lot of shoulder.
You're getting just a little bit ahead of yourself.
Well, I mean, in terms of looking at them and how how they look when they bat.
Between Jamie Smith and Kevin.
Don't forget, Gibbo, we have mathematically proven that James Root is better than Sachin Tendulkar. Did that last year. You cannot argue with that. That is science.
Yeah. Well, I think just let them develop and let's not build them up to something they're not yet. And plenty of time.
It's another one. There's a good interview with Sarge in the Cricket Paper on Sunday. Have a look at that if you can. But it was basically just an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the talent that's coming through. I'll refer you to my earlier comment, listener, about
any bowlers though. It's bowlers that we need.
Well, yeah. Regrettably, I have to kind of come down back down there again. But we could do with some bowling stock going through. But Alfie Osborne and Ned Leonard, and Sonny Baker is the one that got away, and what could have been. I'm sure Joe Hayward is going to further progress his career than being clothed all around the utility bowl in his one professional over so far. So, yeah, there's plenty to go for. But back to the Root brothers. I think James always seems quite, he's quite strong, sort of that right elbow, that right shoulder. That seems to be his game. But Thomas just seems so wiry and wristy. I don't think I've ever seen a player like that. There's one shot he played in the Super Falls game where he just sort of stepped outside leg stump and it was almost this rapier-like flick, and ball just sailed over extra cover. And you think,
I think it's fair to say that he grew up watching T20 cricket, I mean, serious talent. Again, like Anthony said, you don't want to. He is only 16, so let's not say he's going to be the next this, the next that. It might take him a few years to develop. But I think the logical step would be a kind of a one-day cup place next year.
Yeah.
But he might, who knows? He might go. That would be the next logical step. He might go quicker than that. If he keeps doing what he's doing at the rate at what he's doing it, he will go quicker than that, and he will play more formats earlier. But I would imagine that the hierarchy at Somerset will have earmarked, because he was deliberately left out this year. It felt like they just wanted to keep him in check, make sure they didn't give him too much too soon. But James made his debut at 17, so I wonder if they've just got that kind of path mapped out that he plays one-day cup cricket next year. But who knows?
Yeah, they're both lovely lads. I mean, they come from a great family, and I think Chris and Debbie have done a really good job in keeping both of them grounded. Not in the sense that they can't go out. I mean, grounded as in keeping their feet on the floor. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah. So looking forward to that. But yeah, so let's not talk about Thomas Root until he's seriously in consideration for selection. Until he scores a double 100 in the next Second 11 Championship game, when we're going to be forced to. Right, do we have any other business before we knock this on the head? Western Storm played their penultimate game at Taunton, losing to Central Sparks on Bank Holiday Monday. When's the final game? Just looking at my
7th of September in Taunton.
That is
Saturday.
That is the Saturday following the quarter-final. So yeah, I mean. We'll have a little preview of the quarter-final next week, but that's come round quick, hasn't it? Yeah. Looking forward to my drive to Northampton and back in a day. Can't wait for that. If you need a lift, Ben, let me know. Right, enjoy the game tomorrow, chaps. I'll be keeping tabs on the live stream and the BBC Sport website and app. And if the game goes far enough, I will see you both on Sunday. Thanks for listening.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Sheps.
Cheers, guys.
All right.
Cheers.
Tomorrow.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.